What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. It's a cold one in Northeast Ohio. It was effing cold in Minneapolis. The good news is, though, we survived the trip. It was a good time. Got to see all my friends up in Minneapolis. But we're going to go over, this is probably going to be one of the most controversial episodes I've done to date. We're going to go over all that, so much more. Things like Diamond Distributor. They filed for Chapter 11. What's that going to mean to the comics world? Well, I don't know. We'll talk about it. Neil Gaiman. He's a big writer. He's done a lot of stuff, not only in the indie scene, but for also Marvel and DC. Allegations. I went to Minneapolis. Controversial. We're going to talk about it all. So if you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. Let me know what you're doing this evening. And hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Please. Joining me this evening on the panel is the one, the only James of Sketching the Beast. Woo. What's up, brother?
Hold on.
How's your evening treating you?
Sorry.
All right. Well, he's getting his life situated here. I'm gonna just put up in the background maybe a little picture of the Minneapolis show. Minneapolis.
There we go. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No.
Technical difficulties. Computer decided it wanted to do an update.
All good, my man. All good. Updates. I've had that happen at the most inopportune time. Welcome to the show. How's your week treating you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Yeah, can't complain too much.
Been working on the book?
I could complain a lot. Yeah.
Internet.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, internet's meant for complaining.
Yeah.
That's what it's here for.
Drama. People love it.
When Al Gore invented it so many years ago, he's like, I just need a place to complain, man. That's all I need.
Yeah, week's going good, man. Yeah, we've been working on this script. We're nailing it down, getting the panels kind of figured out how we want it and stuff. My wife's she's kind of still an amateur in the ways of comics, so I'm helping her kind of break down, how the panel should flow, when we should be doing when should we be doing splash pages type stuff. So kind of try to figure out the flow of how the comic goes, and it's funny. I apologize. I don't want to digress too far, but it's funny.
That's what this show is.
We just continue to digress.
We should just call it I Digress.
I Digress. The comic podcast.
Sounds like you got the
update. What's I saying? Shoot. It's funny, because I'm trying to take some pointers from like comics that I'm picking up, and if you look at a comic and you flip through it, a typical like Marvel or DC comic, there isn't a lot that happens in a single issue. And it's like, damn, how do I fit all this I want to fit into a single issue without making a graphic novel? So we're trying to figure that out. But yeah, it's
that's been one of the ongoing storytelling critiques that goes on in the comic world is pacing. Mm-hmm. And when you're putting out a book that is possibly like a monthly release, like a Marvel or DC would, you might have 3 main story beats and 12 books to do it in.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there might be somewhere stuff just doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
And if stuff pops off too much, then what are you going to do next month to either top that or reconcile what happened?
Yeah.
The way that I looked at it back in the day when I was podcasting, we were playing D&D, right? Campaign that I put together, they put together their characters. In my mind, there was like 3 things that could happen every episode. That was enough action to pretty much tie up 1 hour of content.
Yeah.
And if you think about it that way, like Matt Slay always talks about doing like a 3-act play or a 3-act script, I should say, for your comic. Like if someone's sitting down with a book that's taking you a year to put together, then that's probably going to be a 3-act play.
Mhm.
So, whereas Marvel has to split it into quarters of a 3-act play.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But it is interesting, though. One of the topics on the docket tonight, I haven't done a whole lot of research into it. We'll be talking about Diamond Distributors. We'll be talking about their filing for Chapter 11 and all that good stuff. We'll be talking a little bit about Neil Gaiman. Gaiman.
Yeah.
I've never said his name out loud.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neil.
I think it's game.
Or not sorry either way. I don't know. But I just want to do a quick recap of Minneapolis. Have you ever been to a tattoo convention?
I have not. No,
Have you ever been to Minneapolis?
I have not been to Minneapolis either.
So this was early on in my full-time career of being a traveling convention artist. Minneapolis was one of the first big shows that I had done with Villain Arts. I'd done a couple before that, like Cincinnati, Louisville. But this was like the first time I really had to travel for a show. It's about a 12-hour drive.
Oof.
In the first time that they did, it was coming out of COVID, so it was in June. Because earlier in the year, things were still shut down from lockdown restrictions and all that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had a great show that June, and everyone's like, "Hey, are you coming back next year?" I said, "Yeah, I probably should be able to." June's kind of a busy Comic-Con time of year, but I had a great time. Everyone's super nice. And they said, "Oh, no, it's not in June. We always have it in January." I'm like,
Okay.
I'm like, it gets to be like -20 up here, right? Like, you guys are next to Canada. And
That's funny. Didn't think of that.
apparently, that's one of the reasons why they do this, because I guess they don't get a whole lot of traveling entertainment that comes up to their neck of the woods during that time of year.
Okay.
So unless you've got like a snowmobile or skis, like if you just want to do something for the afternoon, there's not a whole lot to just go out and do.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
this
Nice.
place gets packed, is what I'm trying to say.
That's awesome.
So all in all, it was a good weekend. I had a strange phenomena Saturday that tends to happen at shows where it gets super busy. Is that because this whole area, I took this before the show started, right?
Okay.
You could not walk down this aisle without being elbow to elbow
Ooh, wow.
with everybody in there. Saturday, anyways.
Not
It got
bad.
pretty busy Sunday too. Friday was pretty casual.
Yeah.
But when it's that busy, no one really wants to stop and buy, let alone stop and talk.
Yeah, that's true.
And because the way they have this hotel set up, they have 3 rooms on the ground floor and then 1 room upstairs. I was in the main first room. There's been people just wanting to get the hell out of that room.
Oh, wow.
That being said, I feel like possibly placement wise in one of the other rooms in a predominant area, I probably would have done better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, had a good show though.
That's awesome.
So, my booth setup, I'm almost touching the ceiling. Like,
Oh my God.
I could actually go higher if it weren't for the ceiling. Had the books on display. Got some new sets. Got a Marvel set. I've got a DC set now. Rounded out
Nice.
the Berserk set. So that's all been going really good.
Sweet, dude.
So all in all, it was a good weekend. But let's talk Diamond distribution. What do you know about Diamond?
They were the predominant distributor for over 50 years, give or take, for comics. And I don't know if they do books or not. I just know the comics side of things. I know. So COVID came around and they practically shut down. And Marvel and DC were not super excited about it. From what I remember, anyways, they weren't excited about it. And they decided that they were going to look elsewhere for a distributor. And I think they landed. One of them landed on it's like Penguin House or something. It's called. And then
Yeah,
I don't
Penguin.
remember what the other one was. But yeah, and I think that's hurt that's hurt Diamond a lot because of that. It's just, I mean, but yeah, I guess I don't know. They had the market cornered for like 40 plus years or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Beyond that, I don't know much.
Have you heard much? I'm getting an echo. Is that coming from?
Is it me?
I think we're good. That was very strange. So, have you heard anybody in the comic sphere interacting with Diamond, like actually using Diamond for distribution?
That I have not.
I've talked to one guy, and I will allow him to remain anonymous for this conversation because I don't know that what he gave me was privileged or public information. Here's what I will say: he is a very predominant Kickstarter and various crowdfunder. I do believe he runs on Indiegogo and Fund My Comic as well. But this dude has, on average, 4 or 5 campaigns a year.
Oh wow, I wish.
And easily pulls in at least 100 grand per campaign. Smaller ones, if it's just like we're doing like a trading card set or something like that, will be more like 100,000. But some of his comics, dude's pulling like 175, 200,000. I can't imagine trying to, as far as distribution goes, try to pack all those orders.
Yeah.
That sounds like an absolute pain. But he told me that he tried using Diamond. He had pretty much kind of peaked where he felt like he was going to get with crowdfunding. He kind of hit his with the niche market that he has. So he's like, let's try Diamond. I forget what cut they get. Diamond gets a cut, and then the retailers, they're all buying it wholesale. So, he wasn't printing anywhere near what Marvel would print for one issue.
Yeah.
So his cost per book goes up. He has to package up all these bulk orders and ship them out. He said at best, he broke even every time that he was shipped through Diamond. At best.
Yeesh.
And if you don't hit your shipping deadlines and everything else, like, it became a problem. So there was no bump, we'll say, on like Kickstarter. Like, it wasn't one of those things where having awareness on the store shelves was driving more business. I said all in all, colossal waste of time, probably a waste of money. I don't think Diamond makes a ton of sense just based on his story and knowing what he normally pulls for most people with a book to actually use these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeesh.
But if you're a small indie or a medium-sized indie, what do you do?
Yeah, right. You got to turn to somebody, give you a hand, right?
Yeah, so let's say Max Damon or Archon. Let's say you get to the point where you're getting every Kickstarter, you're getting 1,500 people backing. You're pushing 1,500 issues.
Yeah.
Every few months, people are eating it up. Do you keep it in house, or would you start looking at, maybe not Diamond, but another distributor?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. It's so I have a benefit and a drawback at the same instance, right? So I have the benefit of if I needed to, my wife would help me.
Yeah.
I got
work.
built-in support.
Wait a few years, you'll have child labor going for you too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Many hands make light work.
Yeah. I mean, the drawback to that is also I have kids, right? But
that too.
Yeah, I don't. That would be a tough one. I don't know. It would have to make sense financially, but I guess if there was, we were at the point where like I'm having a hard time getting these books out to people, then yeah, I guess it'd be tough to kind of like figure out where can I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a if it happens, when it happens question.
Yeah, I think we're at a pivotal point with this industry. A lot of people have been talking about how comic shops aren't A ton of them have closed over the years. Some of them are thriving more than ever. Um, Diamond, with being under Chapter 11, from what I understand, this gives them an opportunity to adjust their finances. It gives them a little bit of relief before like doors are closed forever. Um, I saw a statistic. I don't know if it was here on the Screen Rant page, but it's something like 10% of businesses that file for Chapter 11 actually pull through. It
Oh wow.
tends to be the death knell of,
Yeah.
scoot things around, get people paid, and get them out the door. Try to sell off as much crap as you can.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, that was what I had read was that they were trying to sell off certain parts of the company, or whatever they could salvage to try and remediate that. I had read somewhere that they took out they had a loan through Wells Fargo or something to pay out some of their debts. So I mean, we'll see, but I think I read it was like somewhere like 150 million they were indebted. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think yeah, if they get their together and kind of figure it out, I mean, it would probably be a huge benefit if they joined this century, instead of doing things the way they've always done. They have an
yeah,
opportunity to come back from that like a phoenix, from the flames. But in the same instance, you never know. Maybe they'll just fizzle out.
yeah. Well, and the concern is if they fizzle out, like this statement here, Image and Dynamite will have to find new distributors. I
Yeah,
mean, those are two of the biggest underneath Marvel and DC. You've got,
yeah,
Image, Dynamite. Is Top Cow still around?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
should know this.
yeah, yep,
Dark Horse. I don't know who all they use for distribution, but I mean, this is an opportunity for them to get reconfigured or someone else to step in.
yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. I have no doubt that these guys, as soon as this was announced, they were like, "Well, what's our plan?"
Yeah,
Because if Diamond is not saying, "Hey, this is our plan going forward with you guys, and we would like to keep you on," they'll lose this really quickly, and that they will go from 100 to 0 in like an instant. Because I think, yeah, that's I mean, those some of them guys are probably at least 20-30% of their income for the business, right? So,
oh yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I think this stems back to an ongoing conversation that we've had on the show a few times. Is that um, the amount of effort that goes into making a comic book that people will likely only ever read one time. They might leaf through it a couple other times. Um, I think part of the problem is expecting a monthly book and delivering on that. Um,
yeah,
Physically, as far as like putting the book together, but then also physically in the sense of driving that thing in a package to all these shops.
yeah,
Of all the unsustainable things, I was just looking at one of the sketch covers that I did. The book, I forget which sketch cover it was. It was one of is DC or Marvel. It was a $3 book. $3. How many of those flipping books do you have to sell for it to be profitable?
yeah,
A lot. I
yeah.
can't give you a number, but it's a lot of books.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I mean, right, and the more you print, the more your profit margin goes up. But if your print volume is low on something, your profit margin is shot.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Now,
tough.
granted, I'm sure there's things that you can do on the back end to write stuff off as a loss and all this. I'm sure there's a bit of a tax shelter there. At
Yeah,
the same time, it's like you look at the indie scene where my cost for a book for me to get printed is usually more than what Marvel and DC is charging on the retail side.
yeah, right.
So like on the indie level, it's pretty commonplace to be charging 20, 30, $40 for a comic book if it's, a certain amount of pages or a certain quality or, covers or, hollow foil or whatever.
Yep.
And I mean, some of these books take more than a year to come out.
Yeah. Yep. And so the difference between an indie guys like us and like Marvel and DC, right, is they can fill in a little bit of that gap with advertising,
Right.
whether it's internal advertising or whatever, whether it's they're trying to promote another book or they're actually have ads in their comic pages. Like that's not something people are jumping at the bit to do for us, right? They're not like, oh, let me pay you $10,000
Nah.
to fill a page on this comic because it's gonna reach 400 people, right? That doesn't make sense.
How,
So you know what I mean?
how much would it for your next book coming out? How much would it take for you to consider like, you know what? Yeah, I'll run an ad. Like if someone comes at you and is like, I'll give you $200 to put an ad in your book. Would you
They can
do
get
it?
a half page, yeah, yeah, sure.
$200? Okay.
hmm
I
200,
think
250.
yeah.
I think that's
I
not a bad
mean,
price point.
it's not bad. I never really thought about that. I also don't feel like calling up people asking if they want to advertise in my book.
Well, it's
Um,
funny. It's funny that we were talking about that, right? Is because one of the books I was flipping through was like Savage Spider-Man or something, and I'm like, oh, this has got to be a standard comic book, right? It's like 26 pages, but I counted it's 20 pages of art. Whereas, like, if we're making a comic, we're aiming for 24 pages of art. So it's like a whole
yeah.
extra 4 pages you're getting from an indie artist than you're getting from like Marvel or DC because the rest of the pages are all ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
outrageous.
I was talking to Bill McKay at a show, and that's what he was said. Like when he does his book Kim, or what else is he working on? I know Kim, I forget how that ends. Kim, someone help me. At any rate,
I don't
you
know.
shooting for 24 pages.
Yeah,
For me, I find it easier in my writing style to hit around, call it 32 to 36 pages. But I'll tell you what, though, I forget what issue it was. I think it was a sketch cover. I opened it up, and that book it was a DC book. It was around 50 pages. And it was like a
oh wow,
$7 book.
oh wow.
Now, granted, yes, they're getting the
Right.
advertising money and everything else, but it's like
Yeah,
I feel like um I don't know. There's a lot of mismanagement of money in this business. And if the bottom falls out, and the bottom being actually getting these boxes to shelves, then the whole thing falls apart.
yeah, yeah,
I know there are some circles. I don't know if you've given much thought about this. There are some circles that are talking more about like digital distribution and leaning more on that.
yeah. Well, yeah. I
Um,
mean, you got several options, right? Yeah. I mean, I think this could potentially push things. I mean, we're already kind of in the digital age with comics, where there's people are subscribing to getting getting comics digitally and reading them digitally. I mean, you got Webtoon and all that other stuff. There's several platforms that do that. Marvel Unlimited, DC, whatever. I think it's DC.
yeah,
It might be DC Unlimited too. I don't know. But
yeah,
yeah, I think. I mean, there's tons of options to go beyond this, especially if you're especially if you're like an indie, right? You can do now there. You can do drop shipping, right? Is that the right term? Yeah, drop shipping.
oh yeah, yeah,
Where the person that prints it ships it for you to wherever it's gonna go, right? There's a fee involved in that, and I don't know what the difference between that and getting a distributor is. But I mean, it's an ever evolving business, and I don't think it'll die because of this. I think it will just evolve in some other form.
yeah,
Or maybe we won't even notice a thing. I mean, apparently 50, 60 years ago, this exact same thing happened, and it was a small little lull in the comics industry. And we had the comic crash, and then came back. So
yeah,
who knows, man?
yeah. It'd be interesting if something like a. I'm just spitballing here for a second, as this thought just came to me. It'd be interesting if something like an Amazon picked them up,
Mm,
and Amazon had a new marketplace that was all comics driven. So you
yeah,
could have your Marvel page, your DC page. You could have everything that stems from that, like your T-shirts, games, and everything else. I could see a company it'd probably be considered a monopoly, um, but if someone like that were to pick it up and make a central online hub, that could drop ship or send it straight to the comic store at like a
yeah.
wholesale price. Um, I think I haven't messed around with Diamond. Like you can't go to Diamond and buy a book directly, can you? Like you can't just go on there and shop, put
No, I think
together.
there's like a minimum order, or you have to be a comic reseller of some sort where you get exclusives. I
Yeah,
think.
I have no idea.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good question.
I
Anybody in
know
the comments, do you know? Can we buy from Diamond directly? Is that a thing?
Diamond Direct. I'm gonna see if I can just do a quick Google
But
search.
you know what's funny? You mentioned Amazon. Amazon it has a potentially unique opportunity to jump on that. But the problem is they've already dropped the ball
Yeah,
on comics once. Who's to say they won't do it again?
yeah,
Because they bought, what was it called, Comixology, I think, or something like it was called. Um, and so you could buy digital comics through them, and they just like, I don't know what they did to that thing, man, but whoo, it they like tried to make it part of Amazon, but it wasn't really part of Amazon, and the subscription was different, and they couldn't figure out like a lot of things, and it made the experience to buy digital comics extremely unpleasant
yeah,
and annoying. Uh, so I mean, it's still around. I think you could still do it. But yeah, it was for me, it just like yeah, they did not do a good job with that. But
yeah,
they could, if they put some actual effort into it. Being what a powerhouse Amazon is, I mean that wouldn't be hard for them. But yeah, again, you kind of come back to we're getting a lot of these bigger companies, but they're like monopolizing a lot of things, and it's not
yeah.
good.
Yeah, if you want to talk about really like closing doors on comic shops, if you suddenly could just get special deals on Amazon,
Yeah,
like
yeah, it would do.
imagine they've got services that will put together like certain runs of comics for you.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they were saying in one of these articles, I forget where I saw it. This is the problem when I do like research for stuff is I see something, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and then I don't like copy and paste it somewhere.
oh man,
Um, oh yeah, here we go. So they 2020, the whole COVID thing, apparently that was several months where just everyone pretty much stopped.
yeah,
Um, and since then, I think a lot of folks have turned to things like Kickstarter and GoFundMe comic and all that to get their books. I don't know, you guys in the chat that are hanging out, like, do you read comics? Do you prefer going to a shop to get them? Do you prefer ordering them online? Are you more Kickstarter?
yeah. Let us know.
Yeah. Because I have a feeling that I I mean, even looking like Kickstarter or GoFundMe comic, if they opened up a print option where after you do your run, you have that option where they can sell it for you there and they have their own online shop.
Yeah,
I
that'd be cool.
mean, I don't know.
That would be cool.
So it will
Yeah,
be interesting.
I know Kickstarter just started where you can continue to kickstart a project after after it's finished.
Really.
Yeah, it's a newer feature that they started. I don't know if it's rolled out or if it's like something you have to sign up for to like feature.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that that's a new thing. But that still falls on you, right? To get that out there to that person once it's everything's put together or whatever. I
Yeah.
think there's probably ways to like set deadlines or something. I'm not sure, but I haven't messed around with it personally because I have yet to actually do my own Kickstarter. But
Yeah. Yeah, now you mentioned that there was an option the last time I put one together that was like after it closes, people can still back it. And
yeah,
I should probably check that, huh?
yeah. I mean, right? I mean, I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's almost. I mean, for us, there's almost really very little drawback to having that option.
Yeah.
It's almost mostly pros.
Yeah. Celestial says, I read them if I'm collecting like physicals, but just casual reading, tend to go digital.
Okay.
Um, I think that is the I know Marvel, I'm sorry, DC put out their like digital reader app where you can pay X amount per month. I think Marvel has something like that too, where you
Yeah,
can read.
Marvel and DC both have it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would almost not even put it past Image to also have something similar as well.
Yeah. Um, appreciate this, Celestial. Yeah, I get a fair amount whenever I do a Kickstarter of folks that just buy the digital downloads. And part of that is a budget thing
Yeah,
because,
they
I,
want to support you still, but they don't have
yeah, and I try not to
20,
beat people up on
$30.
the download price. Like the download, I've seen some people charging like 20, $30 for digital downloads, and it's
Whoa.
like, if that's your thing, go for it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but for me, I'm like, $5 to $10, depending on the book and the content, what all you're getting with it. I think
Yeah.
that's more than fair for something that, again, that you're probably going to read once and then probably not looking again until
Yeah.
another issue drops. I don't
Right.
know.
Right. And then yeah, hopefully hopefully you revisit the old one. You're like, oh, oh, that's kind of a cool thing to let's check out the other one, get ready for the new one. I like to binge watch. I do the same thing with shows, right? I like to binge watch the previous season before the new season comes out so that I'm like re-caught back up, right? But
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this whole distribution thing goes. I know I got asked early on about when I was originally releasing Slaughter Dolls if I was going to go through Diamond, and I'm like, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to
yeah,
see stuff show up on shelves, but I'd rather keep it in house until I've got a backing.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Sorry, go
sorry,
ahead. No, go ahead. My bad.
I was going to say, it'd be curious to like poll the amount of people that actually still regularly go to comic shops. Like, how many of you are just picking up your Wednesday pull box of your ongoing series that you do versus you show up and you're like, let's find something new today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. In that exact same vein, I know. Well, so I've only talked to one person that I know who does this, but she has, in a sense, become a publisher herself, or a distributor. I'm sorry, herself, well, and a publisher in the same sense, right? She gets them printed, and then she actually has like reached out to these comic stores and said, "Hey, just interested to see if you would like to have my comic on your shelf, and what would I need to do?" And there are so many places that are no longer like diamond only distributors now that they're
Right.
like, "Yeah, I would love to have your comic on the shelf. Let's talk, price for the comic. And obviously you'd still cut them a bulk deal because they're buying a bunch, but it cuts out that middleman. It's extra
Yep.
work for you, but it still cuts out. It's still that little extra that you get back by doing it on your own. So it's not out of the question to do that anymore. However, in the exact same vein, though, how many comic shops are struggling right now and they can't afford to be doing these types of things?
Yeah. And a lot of them are getting their big pops in their budget from playing the slab game.
Yeah, it's either that or getting their own exclusives. I mean,
Yeah.
comic shops that it seems like, from what I've noticed, anyways, and if any comic shops watching this later and you have something to add to this, please do. But from the comic shops that I've been watching, the ones that are around are the ones that are doing like the big exclusives, the ones that are doing like, they're instead of just waiting around in their store to wait for customers to come to them, they're bringing their store to customers. They're doing whatnot shows. I mean,
Yep.
whatnot is like interestingly exploded the digital like physical purchase for comics in such an interesting way, that it's just kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see. It sucks in the same vein. It's like not as many people are going to comic shops, which
Yeah.
is something that like me, as I started, you know, drawing and being an artist, and like one of my favorite things was is like, oh, maybe someday I'll get to go to a comic shop and they'll like I'll be able to sit around and people recognize me and want to watch me draw art and chat with me or whatever.
Right.
Because I know a lot of comic artists used to do that, and that's kind of dwindling a lot, which is kind of a negative side effect to
It's
everything
interesting.
going on.
So, like, it is kind of whatnot is kind of becoming like that hub for people to hang out, talk
Mhm.
comics. But I did my first whatnot last night. Had a really good show. Streamed for about 3 hours.
Nice.
Made a good chunk of change. So I appreciate all the folks that came out and supported that.
Yeah, dude.
But I feel like when I sit in on a lot of like the folks that are just really there to resell comics, there's not as much conversation going on.
Yeah.
Not as much people talking. It seems like
Yeah.
Whatnot is a great place right now for artists to get on,
Yeah.
maybe do some sketching, do some Q&As, that sort of thing. Um, but the retail side of it, it seems pretty cutthroat these days. Very cold, very
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few shops. It's like they try to bring it in. But I mean, it comes down to, right, is their bottom line is to sell you a comic book. So
Yeah.
auction, auction, auction. We don't get much time to chat about anything else. It kind of does take away that personal connection, when you're
Yeah.
at a comic shop and you're talking to somebody about a comic book they're picking up or whatever, you're talking to the guy who's, just walking around, the customer service dude. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a great one. Check it out. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting direction that we're going. I don't have a good answer of how we can
Yeah.
bring people to continue to come back to the shop, right?
I'm trying to find um my buddy Sketch Ellis. I don't know if have you ever met Sketch?
That sounds really familiar.
He's done a
Either
lot
you've
of
mentioned it
stuff.
before or
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff for Power Rangers.
oh
And
yes.
he's partnered up with a buddy to some extent. I don't know what the extent is, but somewhere down in Atlanta. I'm trying to find it, but I can't remember the name of the shop. They bought like a big abandoned shop. I don't know if it's like in a strip mall or like it's an abandoned Macy's or something,
Mhm.
but they've turned it into like a geek emporium. Just Warhammer stuff, Magic the Gathering, but they set it up almost like a flea market where or like a Comic Con where you can rent out stalls and you can sell whatever it is that you're selling. And it's almost like its own little ongoing Comic Con.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
And they're saying that it's like packed in there every weekend. And even
Wow.
like when people get off work through the week,
Yeah.
lots of people go in there. They'll have like, Magic tournaments, Pokemon tournaments. Um, they'll have celebrities in there to do signings.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of stuff. So it's like,
Wow.
I think
Yeah, more comic shops should do that.
I mean a lot more investment, a lot more overhead,
Yeah, I
but
see a lot more comic shops, at least in my area, and this could be the death of them. Uh, some of them kind of transition into board games and like having a space for people to come and play board games
yeah,
because I don't know they think that that's going to translate into sales necessarily, but I mean people are really just looking for a place to hang out, and it
yeah,
doesn't always end up equaling into sales, and then they close.
yeah,
But yeah, something like that would be much more ingenious because, especially if you're selling other people's stuff, you know what I mean? You're not really doing anything except for selling other people's stuff, and then or you have stuff that you do sell. That
yeah,
sounds really smart. Sounds really smart.
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what was it? The founder they talked about McDonald's. Um, the guy didn't become wildly successful until he took the business advice of don't be in the burger business, be in the real estate business.
Hmm.
And I believe this guy that runs that shop down there obviously has like his own little nook that he sells stuff out of.
Yeah,
It'd be foolish not to. But when you have especially Atlanta, that is such like a hub of transport through the U.S.,
yeah,
uh, you guarantee that if you have 100 stalls that you can sell, vast majority of them are regularly going to be sold out.
yeah,
People selling anything from pops to whatever. So it's pretty smart. It's just you got to have um, it's got to be an easy enough location for people to get to
yeah.
enough in that metro area that can to make it out.
Right,
So I don't know.
right, right.
Um, as far as the distribution thing goes, um, I think there's a real need in the indie sphere to help get the word out. There's a lot of great comics out there that people
Yeah.
have never heard of. Um,
Oh yeah.
to the point where like if they all had the means to have stuff on the comic book shelf, comic book shops would just be exploding. Too many books.
Yeah.
Um, so there's got to be a solution there. What it is, couldn't tell you. In the meantime, I will be packing them up in my living room. I still have, I since I started doing the whatnot thing, I still have my fold out table set up. So I
Mhm.
got out the printer and everything again and all the packing materials. It's like, well, my living room is now shipping depot. Good good
Nice.
problem to have. So
That's funny.
yeah. So let's talk about some controversy. I am
Ooh.
probably not gonna have the most popular opinion, but I really didn't know much. Oops, not that button. Almost ended the stream. Stop
Ooh.
sharing. There we go. My brain's not working so good today.
All right.
Dude, it was when I was leaving
Long.
Minneapolis Sunday, the real feel, like the wind chill with like the barometric pressure and all that, negative 32.
Oh wow.
I've been there when it's negative 20. Negative 32.
That's crazy.
That expression chilled to the bone.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel, and I wasn't outside that long, but I didn't feel like I recovered from that until Tuesday.
Yeah, dude. I've had days. I mean, it's. I don't think it's ever been that bad here in Buffalo, but I've had days where it's like it's so cold outside, and I'm like shoveling for like 2 hours. I come back in and I'm cold the entire day.
Yep.
Like I'm sitting in front of a heater with blankets on, and I'm like still so cold that like my bones feel cold, and I'm like, what is going on? It's cold, man.
I feel like the best thing you can do is like get in a warm shower for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But even
Yeah.
then you get out and it hurts then. It aches.
Yeah.
It's like too
Yeah.
much of a temperature change.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you're like, it's like pouring hot water on frozen glass, you know?
Yeah. Just shatter.
Yeah.
Probably what's
He's
happening.
breaking it in pieces.
Probably happening. So I don't know the full details. I read a little bit about with the whole Neil Gaiman thing. Gaiman, I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Writer of Sandman, creator of Sandman.
Did the Eternals too, right?
What is it?
I think he did a run of the Eternals for Marvel,
Oh,
possibly.
maybe. Oh, that I don't know. I don't know about Eternals. Maybe. Yeah, he did something for Marvel.
Yeah.
But he's also something else. Oh, the Gods show. He wrote that.
Oh, Young Gods, American Gods, something
American
like that.
Gods. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna have probably in our field. I saw some of my. There we go.
Thank you, Celestial.
Thank you. Someone's keeping us in line tonight.
Yeah.
I've seen what some of my quote unquote colleagues are saying online. There's a lot of people that are either not commenting or they are roasting the guy.
Oof.
Is that there were allegations made from multiple women about we'll just say non-consensual conduct, so we don't anger the YouTube gods.
Yeah. Let's not get banned on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't need that. Not this early. The earliest account that I had seen dated back to 1986. And then I think the latest one I think was like either mid 20 teens or maybe even early 2020s was the last allegation.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and lead off with what I'm going to say, and you could feel free to chime in how you wish to chime in. Number one, if there were ladies that were put in compromising situations and they truly didn't have a way out and they felt trapped or even possibly threatened, it's a goddamn shame.
Yeah.
Shouldn't happen. At the same time, I don't know how the hell you prove it happened. And that's the hard part about going into situations where you may not even realize you're going to get cornered.
Yeah.
Is how the heck do you even hold these people accountable?
Yeah.
The second bit is that if you're Neil and you're a guy who is in the public eye and all this, and it sounds like from his own admission that he used to have all kinds of lifestyle choices that were very promiscuous, we'll say, and he claims that it was never non-consensual.
Yeah.
You're asking for trouble, dude. You're asking for trouble, even if there's never an allegation. Like to live like that. Not saying you can't, but like if you're gonna be having affairs outside of your marriage and stuff, you're asking for trouble.
Yep.
So if it was all consensual and ladies are looking for a payday, that's also a damn shame. At the same time, like, I'm no legal expert and I wasn't there. It's going to have to go through the courts. And unfortunately, if it did happen, I have a feeling these ladies can't afford the same kind of lawyers he can.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. But good luck. Good luck seeing season 2 of The Sandman on Netflix. I will say
Yeah,
that.
is that what it boils down to? Are we getting season 2?
I
Yikes.
mean, yeah, dude. There's no, there. I mean, actually surprised that I've not heard anything on the side of like his creations and like how those things are going. Like, I think American Gods is done. I didn't
Apparently
actually watch the
they
series.
apparently they paused production on some of them.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah, yeah, whatever is gonna happen with, I mean, I will admit, The Sandman was a good show. I was enjoying it, and the comic was supposed to be very
Yeah,
interesting. I never read the comic,
yeah,
uh, but very interesting concept. I liked where that universe was going, but it kind of draws that line of like, can you s- can you still like something that someone like that is associated with? It's tough. It's like ethically, morally, like, oh, I enjoy the story, but can I can I continue to support this in any way? And I think
yeah.
it's an argument a lot of people struggle with too.
Yeah, I think first and foremost is that until on the very base level in my mind, until there's a ruling, guilty or
Yep.
not guilty,
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty. Right.
really shouldn't be.
Yeah. Right. You shouldn't
Um,
be accusing the guy of nothing.
yeah, and it's like it, by his, I believe it was his own admission from what I'd seen in one of the articles, is that he had mentioned that some of the things that were being said from some of these ladies is like, yeah, this, and this definitely happened, but that didn't happen. That's made up. So
Yeah.
it's like, so you are admitting to like being in these compromising situations. Now it's up to likely a jury of his peers to determine whether or not he's lying, if there's probable or without
Yeah.
shadow of doubt, what have you. Um, I have to imagine the vast majority of entertainment that we consume in America probably has scumbags associated with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're finding that out more and more now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially with that special that came out about the Nickelodeon shows in the '90s. That one was just rough to watch
yeah.
and to hear about. Like, that one was just, can't remember what the show was called off the top of my head, the documentary series.
Was that
Uh
with the directors that was like something to do with like feet? A lot of feet shots in the show.
yeah,
I
the
thought
director
I heard
dude.
something about that.
Yeah, I'm having a brain fart right now on what
Yeah,
the series was called, but yeah, I mean, we're finding that out more and more that a lot of these guys are messed up in the head in some way, or they're involved in some serious you know things with children, and like yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of sickening and gross. And then you're like looking back, you're like, well, it sucks. And you're like, oh, well, now you see it.
yeah.
Everything is, hindsight's 2020, but yeah,
Well, if there's one thing that I have learned the more I've been on this earth is that the places where there's power and money, there's almost always corruption.
yeah,
And where
absolutely.
there's
Power
corruption,
corrupts, absolutely.
there are families that may be literal blood or figurative blood that want to protect it. They want to make more of it, and they will put people in compromising situations so they can't back out of it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So I don't know. Anyone who wants to go get into mainstream entertainment, mainstream anything, it's like you're gonna end up in compromising places,
yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah,
So if you don't have a firm rock under your feet, you're gonna get tossed around.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yep.
it's it's sad. It's awful. It's awful because us as fans, we like to consume these shows and these TV series and things like that, and just, but the people that are put behind them, because it makes money, they have all this power to their name and to the what they can do with the, like, whether it's the director or whatever, or the head executives. It's awful to think about. It's like, how I don't it's really tough. Like, how can we continue to it's tough to be like, let's continue to support this,
Yeah.
knowing that this stuff goes on constantly. I mean, it's still going
Yeah.
on. You're still hearing reports.
Yeah. Well, and it's wild too because there's again, I'm sure there's somebody that can clip all things out of this episode and take them out of context or whatever. But if
Yeah.
you look at like the whole Chris Brown thing, like when I don't know if it was allegedly that he hit Rihanna,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
or if he was ever convicted of it, I can't remember. But it's like he's still out there touring. He's still
Yeah.
making songs. The last I heard,
Yeah.
um, I, I don't know. It's a tough spot all the way around. Uh, I think this, allegations need to be taken to court. They need to figure out what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But that public opinion thing, good luck. People have been dropped and canceled for far less.
Yeah. Right.
And,
Right.
and
I mean,
if you
yeah.
do get canceled, then you're also probably in good company of being canceled.
Yep. Yep. Who was it that? I had something against them, and then they were kind of cleared of charges.
You remember that show Step by Step back in the day?
Vaguely.
The TGIF? You had like Family Matters,
Yeah.
Full House, and then
Yeah.
Step by Step. As a kid, one of our favorite characters was Cody, cousin Cody. He lived in the van in the driveway. And mysteriously, he disappears. One season, he's just not there anymore. And the rumor had gone around that he was in like a domestic violence situation with his wife and that he had gone to jail and all this stuff. And so I actually randomly was like, I don't know why it came to mind the other day. I looked it up. Turned out that there were allegations of domestic violence. And when that happened, apparently that's when he got dropped from Step by Step. I think he actually went to jail for a short amount of time. But from what I read, to my understanding, could be wrong. So if someone wants to deep dive this and do some research, go ahead. Apparently all the charges were dropped and he now has full custody of his kids.
Oh, wow.
And apparently, could be wrong, his wife at the time apparently was in a like drug and abuse related thing going on. So that's why he has the kids. But up until about a week ago, I lived most of my life. If you had asked me, I'd be like, yeah, didn't that guy go to jail for like something awful?
Yeah. Right.
But apparently the very last episode or two of Step by Step, they actually had him back to like reprise his role for one show. Just to be like, hey, I'm doing good and everything's fine kind of thing. But that's too little too late, man.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. If you're one of these studios, it's like, do you want to be associated with someone who's tied to this stuff if it goes sideways? Even if it takes 3 years and he's fine, do you want to be associated with him for 3 years while that plays out in the courts?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's tough too, right? Because like even if like there was laws and regulations that said, oh well, you can't fire these people while they're, and I think technically you're not supposed to be able to. I think there's like definitely something in there, but like you shouldn't be able to fire these people. But then with something so public, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff is out in the air, and then the people won't watch the show because they don't want to support it or whatever. I mean, people have dropped shows and books and whatever for less than stuff like this. So
well, and even if they come out in the clean, it's like right now, Jonathan Majors. I couldn't tell you if that dude was actually convicted of anything or not.
He was.
He got dropped from Marvel.
Yes.
Was he convicted?
He was convicted, but it was stupid. It was like he was found innocent of whatever the major charge was, but he was
like the violence charge.
He was convicted of like endangerment or something like that. It was something stupid. And it was because of whatever the major situation. I can't remember these very specifics, but I remember being kind of upset about it. Like it was a very dumb like thing that he accepted the plea of, for that. And he was like, sure,
Well, pleas can be tricky too, because it could be more or less a almost like a negotiation chip.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if she got anything out of the deal or whatever, but yeah.
My point in bringing him up though is that regardless of how the court shook out, like I can't remember. All I can remember is he had charges.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of the public mind works. Is like the last I heard, he was a scumbag.
Yeah.
Cody from Step by Step. Last I heard, Sasha, whatever his name is. I heard he was an abuser.
And Yeah, and
sticks.
the even tougher part about this, right, is like as soon as something like this comes out and then your network drops you, it almost like to the public makes you seem like you're already guilty of something that you aren't haven't even been proven guilty of
Yeah,
because the network thinks you're guilty, so
yeah,
they're getting rid of you, but really they just don't want to be associated with it. But in the same vein, right, like
yeah.
now all of a sudden in the public eye, the public thinks that, oh, this is definitely probably true. I mean, I think now with like a lot of the social media, people are seeing more sides of things. But
I
I
don't
think,
know.
but yeah, it's tough too because
Yeah.
more people are now already judging somebody before
Oh,
it's
they'll
even
clip
made
stuff out of
all the information.
context,
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah,
make memes.
right, right,
Yeah,
right, and like, yeah, it's tough, dude. I mean, who
yeah.
knows? Who knows? I mean, and everything that's going on now with even the whole Justin, what's it? Justin Baldoni and wow, I'm really drawing a
I
blank.
can't help you on this one.
Blake Lively.
What's I have no idea.
Blake Lively is claiming sexual harassment against Justin Baldoni for while they were filming on the set of It Ends with Us,
Hmm.
um, which was a movie about like being in a relationship that has sexual abuse and stuff like that. Um, and So yeah, it's interesting. The internet has already taken sides, and all the information is not even out there yet. And it's just like it's very split. Like I don't know anything for people to argue about. I guess it's
Yeah,
drama, whatever. But I mean, if it's true, I hope it, I hope Blake gets whatever she is looking for. If it's not true, it's awful.
yeah,
That's slander. But again, to me, and I will say this to as many people, in my opinion, it's not my decision to make. It's between the courts, the judge, and the jury. And to me, it's everybody is innocent until proven guilty.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
unless you come off as a complete, s bag, then you know what I mean.
so 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 what about O.J. Simpson?
Dude, I still don't know about that one, man. I don't know. Yeah, because
Leave it to the courts, except for O.J.
yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's tough too, because like, yeah, there's definitely some things in the law that could be, used for or
Yeah,
against, people. And I don't think that the justice system is perfect. I don't think that
it's
every case that
oh,
is,
it
every
is
time that
not.
someone's been proven guilty or not guilty is always true. I mean, how many times have we seen people serve time in jail and just for them to find out late years and years later during a cold case that they're like, oh no, they were actually innocent. They served all this
Yep,
time for no reason, right? So
yep,
it is tough. There's definitely like a line there, but yeah.
yeah. I don't know what we learned here today.
We learned nothing.
We learned
Everything
nothing.
comes back to nothing.
It's pretty much keep your nose clean, stay above board, and
Yeah, dude, if
the
you're gonna be
the
in the public
system
eye.
the system judging those that are corrupt are just as corrupt, if not more so.
Yeah.
Um, that was I actually had somebody change my mind. Having been brought up in a staunchly conservative household.
Mm,
Um, I held on to a lot of those views for a long time. One of them being death penalty, and the thought process being like, if someone takes someone else's life and it's that egregious, like they deserve death.
yeah.
And then you come to find out that like sometimes people being tried for things can't afford good lawyers,
Yeah.
or sometimes they admit to stuff that they didn't actually do because the people that are questioning them are very good at questioning to get confessions.
Yeah.
So I'm at the point anymore where it's like I don't envy anybody that has to be on the deciding side that actually has to look at the facts, whether it's the judge, the jury, or even the lawyers.
Yeah.
Um, all I can really do is look inward and say, what do I need to do to stay above board? What do I need to do to not be a douchebag and try to do that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, man. Just stay away from anything that's gonna be bad, and you'll be all right.
Keep your nose clean.
Keep your nose clean, man.
Keep your nose clean.
Indeed.
So friends in the chat, um, feel free to hit that like button if you're enjoying tonight's conversation. If you think we're completely off basis, feel free to say something.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us.
My
Your
mind
thoughts.
could be changed on all kinds of things. I learned a long time ago to have a staunch opinion that is unwavering will usually result in you looking like a fool. So I am open to critiques. I'm open to suggestions. So just let us know.
Rock on.
Um, I had one other like big topic for the night. As long as we're going to be slightly controversial here,
Well, let's do it. Dive in.
I feel like this could be anywhere from conspiracy to just poorly documented history, everywhere in between. So on my journey out to Minneapolis, there's a rest stop in Wisconsin that I inevitably will stop at. I have been to this rest stop probably 5 times now in my life. And it has a sign. You know, they have like those little like history signs, little history markers that will give you a little tidbit. There's one in particular that the first time I saw it, I'm like, this can't be right. Like something doesn't add up. I'm trying to pull up the picture here real quick so I can share it with y'all. Here we go. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this on the screen here. So it says the passenger pigeon. Huge flocks of passenger pigeons once roamed North America. Larger than the mourning dove, which it resembled, the passenger pigeon derived its name from an Indian word meaning wanderer, or one who moves from place to place. Flying at a normal speed of 60 miles per hour, which is impressive, the pigeon moved hundreds of miles in migration, around 50 to 100 miles a day during the nesting season, searching for food. Largest nesting on record is 1871. Nesting ground covered 850 square miles with an estimated 136 million pigeons. 136 million of these bad boys flying around.
Wow.
Mr. John Muir described the passenger pigeons in flight. I have seen flocks streaming south in the fall, so large that they were flowing from horizon to horizon in an almost continuous stream all day long.
Is that your old guy voice? What is that?
That's my old-timey frontiersman. I'm not. John Muir might be. Yeah, he'd have to have been around 1850s, 60s, somewhere in there. Sure. Now here's the turn of events here. So far, these pigeons are doing great. They're fast. They're big. They fly all over. They look for food. They're mating like bunnies. It says many reasons have been given for the extinction of the passenger pigeon. If you're not aware, these suckers are gone. Used to be millions. In fact, I'm going to correct that number here shortly. Many reasons have been given for the extinction of these pigeons. Each year, millions were trapped, clubbed, or shot for food and pleasure. Last known passenger pigeon died in a Cincinnati zoo in 1914.
Poor things.
Now, you're in my shoes, right? I really have to piss. I just got out of my van at a sketchy rest stop. I'm cruising in. You have a giant like Vietnam War memorial here.
Yeah.
And then you have a casual sign on the side that just says the passenger pigeon. I'm like, okay, we're going to come back to that, right?
Yeah.
If I just took this at surface level, and go, man, those pigeons, man, we really trapped, clubbed, and shot them to death for food and pleasure. 136 million of these things.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, come to find out, I started thinking about it. Like, how many people were like actively hunting back then? And what would it take to kill? Like, if you're going to shoot 136 million birds, that's a lot of bullets.
Yeah, dude. That's a lot.
There's a lot of bullets.
Yeah.
And then clubbing them, like how are we clubbing them?
Yeah.
Right?
This is like just awful. There's a term I can't think of the term I'm looking for right now, but
it's a pretty dark term. We'll spare it because I don't know if we're allowed to say it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, good
but like we're
talking about history, of course we're not.
Yeah, it's borderline genocide of birds.
Yeah.
Right. So I decided to do a little bit of a deep dive on these. Do you know what the actual estimated population of birds was of these pigeons?
I don't know if this number is wrong. It's probably
This number
somewhere
is
in the 300 million, maybe.
this number is very wrong compared to what modern historians think.
Yeah. How off we talking here?
2 to 4 billion. Billion with a B.
Wow.
Now, James, if I told you you have the rest of your life to kill 136 million pigeons,
There's no way.
even if they're laying on the ground, there's a certain point where like this is an unfathomable
No,
quest, right?
there's no way that humans were solely responsible for this creature's extinction. It doesn't make sense. That's an unfathomable number of birds that these people were killing.
So I did some deep diving because sometimes I will lock onto something. And I'm like, I'm not going to stop until I figure out what the heck is going on here.
Yeah.
And this is going to get conspiratorial here.
Oh man, diving deep on this one.
And for those of you watching that think that I might be off my rocker,
this guy's gone nuts.
I've got one particular equation here that I think is going to be very eye-opening.
Okay.
So if you aren't firmly planted in your seat, I would sit down. I would brace for impact.
Yeah.
Hey Siri. Oh, hold on a second. Before I ask the question. It was estimated that during its peak, they had around 3,000 full-time hunters hunting these things.
Wow.
Right? So 2 billion birds flapping around out there, and 3,000 hunters on the prowl, armed with clubs, shotguns, and the likes thereof. Hey Siri, what's 2 billion divided by 3,000? If you can't see it, it's 666,666.6 repeating. If you needed proof of conspiracy, friends.
Yeah. Wow. That's a creepy number, man.
It's a very creepy number.
It's not only is it 666, it's 666 3 times.
Forever.
Yeah, wow.
Forever.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yikes.
And that's with their numbers, right? That's not like Steve sat here in his bedroom, huffing glue, and like came up with numbers. These are reported numbers. Oh, we got Chris jumping in there. This is the first time I've caught you live, Steve, and I log in. You're speaking in a dapper old English accent.
Speaking of clone bitch, did not disappoint.
Chris, you wandered into conspiracy corner here on on the Art House Live conversation. Appreciate you jumping in, dude. Hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, so these birds, man, they were saying that like there were so many of them. I'm gonna try to pull up another link while we're talking here. There were so many of them that when they would migrate around, when they would land on trees, they would actually break the trees that they landed on. There were so many of them.
That's insane.
Can you
there had to have been it just doesn't make sense because there had to have been another thing that came up and started to take over and eat them or kill them or whatever other than humans. I'm sure.
Well, here I'm going to share another screen here. So we're talking about the passenger pigeon, Chris. This is a wild one. Allegedly 2 billion of these bad boys were flying around the U.S., nesting in all kinds of different places. And allegedly around 3,000 hunters took out 2 billion birds over the course of about 50 years. Now, to contrast what I just told you about all these birds landing on trees and breaking them and cracking them, they would eat things like acorns, hazelnuts. They apparently were big on chestnuts, the American chestnut. And some people claim, I could be wrong about all this, by the way. I could be completely wrong. So before I get like defamation cases from like the Worldwide, Wildlife Foundation, feel free to send, if you want to sit down and correct me on all this, I would love to have you on the show. It apparently was the chicken of the time. Like this became like one of the primary protein food sources that was like super cheap, super affordable. I'm going to share another screen here. This is not for the faint of heart.
Oh,
The picture I'm about to show is a bit disturbing. Even with me, I've seen some stuff. When I saw this, I'm like, this might be a bit much. So if you don't want to see, I would is your trigger alert
avert your
here. You might
eyes.
want to
Avert your
look
eyes.
away. Let's see. This is
Not
on
safe for children.
It's on LinkedIn of all
NSF,
places.
NSFC.
Yeah. This was from they had a period of time over 5 months where they killed 7.5 million birds.
Whoa.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Wow.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No. That's
Apparently,
outrageous.
during the advent of rail cars and telephone, or the what do they call that, telegraph wire, they had hunters loading up by the rail car load to go wherever they heard that these birds were. And they were loading them up. Apparently, they found a way to do like the refrigerated box cars, and they were shipping these things back to like New York and Chicago, and they were just serving up these birds, man.
Wow.
This
That's
dude's just
crazy.
walking on them. He's king of the hill. He's up here looking down. But if you think about it this way, 50,000 birds per day. How many birds would each of these guys have to wrangle? They didn't send out 3,000 hunters for this. 50,000 birds a day. If
Yeah,
you told me to get 50 birds today,
that's-
like I have 24 hours to come back with 50 birds, wouldn't be able to do it. Wouldn't be able to do it. But
and
they
that would be
say,
a million in a year.
yeah. So yeah, I forgot how many years it was. I think they did it for 7 years. No, it said 50,000 per day for nearly 5 months. So yeah, I think it's what, 7 million? Something like that.
How many?
I think that's
Sorry,
what
how
it
many
is.
months?
5 months, 50,000 birds per day, which doesn't seem humanly possible. Like I feel like these birds would be rotting before you could even get them cleaned. And
Yeah, 7.5 million. Yeah. Wow.
but here's the thing though, out of 2 billion,
Yeah. Yeah. Still,
there
that's a lot.
there were more of these birds flying around, this particular passenger pigeon, than the entire population on Earth of people.
Yeah, that's a lot. A lot of birds.
It's a lot of birds. And you look at them, like they look like they're like chicken size in here.
Yeah, they're pretty big. Holy moly.
In fact, I'm going to stop sharing so you guys don't have to look at the pile of corpses. They say that one of the reasons why chickens have become such a like staple of food is because of these things. We pretty much allegedly hunted these things out of existence, and then we're like, well, we can't do that with the next bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't keep doing this, you
Yeah,
know.
yikes.
So yeah, it is buck wild. And to think that like, okay, 50,000 birds per day. How are they doing this? Well, I found one of the techniques that they were doing.
Going in deeper.
Let's see. Do I have it pulled up still? Probably not. This is the other problem. I click around on Windows too much and I close stuff. But they would build like these big cube shaped. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can share this. You guys had no idea that this is what you were in for tonight, huh? You're like, Steve's going to talk about Minneapolis and it was cold. Ha ha. Nope, we're talking about pigeons. Let's see. They made these nets. Might be a little hard to see on here. Let's pull it up in the Wikipedia page. Wikipedia is a reliable source, right? Right?
Sure.
Let's see here. Show me the nets, friend. Let's see if we can enlarge this picture. This is what they look like, by the way. Kind of like somewhere between a robin and a mourning dove.
Not seeing what you're seeing, boss.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Am I not sharing?
You're sharing something. You're sharing a web page.
Oh, I clicked into. There we go.
There you go.
Let's see if we can make this picture bigger. All right. So this artistic rendition of our depopulation effort, they said that in some of their roosts, if they got close enough, one shotgun blast could take out 60 birds. If you
Wow.
just did 50,000 divided by 60, you're shooting a lot of birds in a day.
Yeah.
So, hey Siri, what's 50,000 divided by 60? So if you're going to be blasting these things with birdshot, you're at least firing 833 rounds a day.
Yikes.
You're going to war.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Um,
That couldn't have been too yummy with all the pellets inside them.
just picking them out, spitting them out.
It's funny because I've almost accidentally eaten a shotgun pellet once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here is a picture of one of the nets. Apparently they would put up one side of the screen or like a corner of the screen, and they had this is actually where the term stool pigeon comes from. They would put a little decoy bird down in here that would sit on a stool, and then it was like spring loaded, so it'd rock back and forth, and it looks like this bird is eating.
Yeah.
Which would trigger all these other birds to fly down in, and then they would drop the other side of the net, and they would literally have this giant cube of birds.
Wow.
Wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like must not have been very smart birds.
Well, apparently, the reason that they had gotten to the numbers that they had gotten to, is because they traveled in such big packs. It was hard for any predator to take them out because they would just swarm it and kill it, right?
Yeah.
And because they were so socially locked in, they would actually send scouts down, and if it looked like the scouts started eating something, then they would all just swoop in. So it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still seems like a lot, though. I think, if anything, whoever is estimating 2 billion birds were in existence, I think that number might be a little high.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems a little inflated.
Especially if they're just a little bit smaller than a chicken.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Good Lord. They had to have been eating a lot, dude.
Yeah.
That was almost like I'm having a hard time with terms tonight.
I threw a lot at you, man. I threw a
Yeah.
lot at you. I didn't give you hardly any preparation for what I was going to drop on
we're
you.
talking about passenger pigeons. I'm like, passenger pigeons. You could ask my wife. She's like, "Hey, what are you?"
James literally texted me.
I don't know.
He's like, "Hey, what are we talking about tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to recap Minneapolis. We'll talk about the diamond thing, I guess, Neil, and then passenger pigeons."
I'm like, okay.
And I'm way more prepared to talk about passenger pigeons, as it turns out. So apparently, some of the ways that they would get it was actually pretty brutal, because they would all flock into these trees. They would lead to deforestation. These guys would go in with saws and they would cut down the trees that they were all nesting in, and then just start picking up the babies and stuff.
Oh, that's
pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Apparently the pigeons were so prevalent at points that like it was actually kind of hard to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So they were using them to like feed pigs and all kinds of nasty stuff. So
it's almost sad to think that we almost single-handedly contributed to the decline of a species. Makes you wonder how many other species have we single-handedly done this with.
Yeah. I feel like all of the pressures being put on the hunting aspect of it.
Yeah.
Some of the other theories that are out there, one is disease.
Yeah.
Which I think there's some credence to that. I mean, you look at like there were a lot of conflicts going on with the Native Americans back then. At the same time, most historians agree most of them got wiped out because of plagues.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Sure. Of course, everyone just says there's no direct evidence, so it's like there's no way to verify it. The other bit is
things weren't documented that well.
Yeah. The other bit is the fact that they had to consume so much food. The other thought process is the reason why these trains were being built to go into these different areas wasn't so they could go hunt birds. It was for the lumber. So if you start chopping down these trees that these birds are used to nesting in, now you're not replacing your population as much.
Yeah.
And because they are such a socially dynamic bird, it's possible that if one of them gets spooked, then they're all out.
Yeah.
In fact, they were saying it got to the point where even like simple gunshots or the sight of man, these birds would just leave.
Hmm.
So
Crazy to think.
it's possible that they got in a tizzy and they couldn't find a new place to call home, and maybe they didn't make it far enough south for winter, and who knows?
Yeah.
Who
Or,
knows? But
or
I have
maybe
a
they
hard time
landed on the
believing
island of snakes.
that could be it.
Maybe.
The snake versus passenger pigeon war of 1912.
Yeah. Maybe.
So
There is an island out there that man cannot set foot on because of how populated the island is with snakes.
is that real?
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
look it up. It's
Oh,
literally
I'm
called
looking
the
at it.
Island of Snakes.
I'm looking
And
it up.
these snakes are so poisonous. So I guess when the waters rose, that it kind of secluded them onto this island. When we first discovered it,
Oh my God.
people who landed there never returned because they were all killed by these snakes. That apparently there's one snake every like 4 or 5 feet. Basically, it's how many snakes are. But they've evolved because of how scarce the food sources become on the island. They evolved so that they could kill birds by having the most venomous bite of any snake in the world. Literally, bite you, instant death. These birds. So they've over evolution have developed more poisonous bites.
I think the only thing that could kill 2 billion pigeons would be 2 billion snakes.
Yeah, dude.
I kind of want to
Challenge
show this
never returned.
picture. It is a disturbing picture, though.
Oh yeah,
Do you guys want to see a picture of the island of snakes?
Snake Island.
I need a hard yes or a hard no from the chat. Do you want to see a picture of snakes? Because it is a Snake Island,
Snake Island.
as it
See it?
is a sight to behold. Let's
The
do it.
Celestial says,
Celestial
"Do this."
sin. That's all I
Got a
need.
yes. All we needed.
You gotta. And Chris, for your next cryptozoology art that you do, this could be a subject for this is not even a cryptid. This is real. This is real. Here we go.
Fire red.
Bam.
Yep.
Swarming.
Blah.
It's hard to look at.
Yeah.
430,000 square miles. Let's just, out of curiosity, let's see how many snakes. Let's see if it says. If it says 2 billion snakes,
That would
let's
be
see.
just a funny
It's
coincidence.
the only habitat where the snake Bothrops insularis is present, according to the Smithsonian Institute. The island is home to between 2,000 and 4,000 venomous snakes on an area of only. Okay. I don't know that 6,000 snakes can take on 2 billion birds, but if we did dwindle the numbers down,
Yeah.
and we have some disillusioned birds.
I'm sure the number was much higher, right? At one point. I mean, they definitely, being there's so many of them, they definitely. Yeah,
Whoa.
see, the island was previously inhabited by 400,000. They're killing themselves off because of starvation, because they are eating fast.
Because they don't have that many birds left.
Yeah, those passenger pigeons aren't coming around anymore.
Buddy, I think we figured out that it's funny because one of the theories, it's interesting because a lot of these sites that talk about passenger pigeons write off the that they all went down to like South America and Brazil. They write that off. They're like, that's not something that they would do. But if they went to the island of snakes,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have any evidence.
Right.
Evidence is gone.
And no one's gonna go there to find out. Tell you that.
No. What
It
if
is
they some
literally
sort of symbiotic relationship
yeah.
where like the passenger pigeons could carry these snakes around and drop them on unwitting targets,
Oh my god.
and they fight back. They come back north, right? They want vengeance on the Wisconsinites
There you go.
for
You got your next
shooting
story.
and clubbing them to death. And now we have snakes all over America. I think that's probably true anyways. Let's see. Christus, have you ever considered the fact that one could actually launch these snakes via slingshot? The pigeon density could create a situation where the flying snake could jump from. You could have an aerial combat snake situation.
That's crazy. That
I mean,
unfathomable.
and these
Just have
birds,
like this dark cloud come over you, and it's literally just these passenger pigeons with snakes floating on top of them. It's like a dark cloud, and then they just fall.
oh my lord, oh my lord, is so many snakes, man. I don't even know what to say. I think number one that we have solved the mystery of the passenger pigeon.
I think so.
I think we're looking at the culprits right here.
You're welcome. My
So again, what
of unusual and mysterious and creepy things.
So what do we do with this information? First off, I can think of a couple signs across America that need updated. First off,
there you go. Wiped out by venomous snakes.
Yeah,
and humans.
Wow. Do I have anything else to say about passenger? Oh, let's just talk while we're here. Let's put a nice bow on this.
There you go.
Because popular media would have you believe that the last passenger pigeon was shot in southern Ohio with a 12 gauge by a young lad. I believe he was like 12 or 14, something like that. And they had the bird stuffed and put on display with little buttons for eyes. That bird is also named Buttons because of the button eyes.
That's funny.
It is still on display, allegedly. I should have had a picture pulled up and probably be more impactful.
I don't know if that's warped or if it's something to look back on human history.
You know, you don't if you don't learn from history, I would say it's doomed to repeat, but they're extinct.
Yeah.
unless they're down there plotting and planning with the snakes.
Right.
But the last
start wielding guns at us.
They're coming back, man. The last passenger pigeon unfortunately did die in captivity. There were several pairs of birds that were left that were sent to different zoos. The last of them was named Martha. And I'm going to show you a picture here of Martha. Let's see, because she is apparently on display in I don't know if this is Smithsonian or what, but yeah.
It doesn't look that big.
Well, there's nothing there for context, I think. Like there's no banana for scale, you know.
I mean, yeah, she's actually if you're looking at the leaf, she is kind of big, huh?
It's a decent sized bird.
Yeah,
I think it's a decent size. It's a fair sized bird. We're not asking too much of Martha. Apparently they had.
There.
What's that?
2 drumsticks.
I'm full of them tonight, man.
You had wings tonight. Before you talked.
I did have wings yesterday.
About killing birds off.
I did have wings yesterday. I'll tell you, this whole passenger pigeon thing has been haunting me for the last few years. Every time I stop at this restaurant, I'm just reminded. But they did try an effort to repopulate. They sent a few pairs of birds around the country to different zoos, try to like raise them in captivity, try to get that thing going. But apparently, Martha was paired with George, didn't make it. George passed first. Martha, unfortunately, passed later. Dave, welcome to the most ridiculous episode of Art House Live.
Yes.
What's up, man? Glad to have you here, buddy. But here is the next controversial step. Apparently, one of these birds, here's your movie twist, right? One of these birds, possibly more than one that we know of, around 1914, was asked to be frozen in a block of ice. The bird didn't ask. The Smithsonian asked that the zoo freeze the bird in a block of ice and send it to the Smithsonian to keep in perpetuity. What are they going to do with this bird?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Well, the thought process is, much like Walt Disney was thinking back in the day, is maybe if you freeze me, maybe one day science will be advanced enough that they can genetically clone these things.
Yeah.
Are you for cloning
No.
this bird?
No.
So
No.
you're just as guilty as the hunters.
No.
You want them gone.
No. I mean, I would say to revive it through a process of well, I guess it technically is cloning. So yeah, I would be behind that. I guess I would be behind that. I like
Yes,
creating an actual clone from
hold on.
nothing. I'm not
Yeah,
okay with that. Creating a clone through like
yeah.
the rebirth process. Whether you're implanting it in a dove or whatever the heck you're doing to
Oh,
get
that's
to
what
that
they'd have to
stage.
do. They'd have to
Yeah,
genetically splice with like a chicken or a pigeon. Dave,
yeah,
you definitely came in way too late, buddy.
yeah. You're like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'd say
think
the last half an hour has been the most bizarre half hour.
yeah, we
And
dove
you're
deep on this. We solved the mystery of the passenger pigeon. We solved it.
yes.
Jurassic Park made many movies that
Yeah.
showed that it's not a good idea. Yeah, yeah.
Well, when you think about it, these birds were able to get to the point where there are literally billions of them. They're flying around, they're wrecking trees, they're eating all the. Now, here's the thing, though, is that they said, here's an interesting one, that since these birds have passed, that the American chestnut tree is in danger because these were the birds largely spreading the seeds of those trees.
Oh,
So it's not just the birds that are dying; it's also
yeah,
American
that's not good.
chestnut.
That's not good.
Yes. I like it. I like it. Oh, passengers. They're pretty good sized birds, man. I think you could probably get some decent wings off of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
The popular way to eat them back in the day, because I've learned so much, and I'm bestowing you and our lovely audience with this information. If you weren't going to just cut them up and grill them right away, there were two forms of keeping them fresh. So those 50,000, this is actually probably the grossest part of the whole conversation.
Oh God.
So those 50,000 a day that they were doing, some of the ways that they were preserving them was one, of course, was smoking them, making like little passenger pigeon jerky. The other bit was to, and this is so disgusting,
Oh
was
God.
to pickle them.
Ew.
Pickled pigeon, pickled passenger pigeon.
Ugh. People pickle chicken?
Ugh.
That's gross. I can't imagine that would taste good. Why do you know this? Why, Steve? Why?
Well, because about every hour to hour and a half, I have to stop and take a leak when I'm driving. I've been drinking cans upon cans of Monster, and there's one rest stop that gave me lots of information, but not nearly enough. And I'm a curious dude. I have to do some research. That's it. That's really it.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's So yeah, I made it my mission. I told myself Tuesday I was going to take the day off. I had 12 hours of driving on Monday, and knowing that I was doing a Whatnot stream last night, I was like, I just need to take some time, relax. And then those thoughts crept in, and I'm like, I have to know. So
My goodness.
Pulled up Google, started doing some research, and I think we got to the bottom of it. I have a conclusion that makes sense. They flew south to get away from the frontiersmen from the 1800s folks, and they met a snakely demise.
Yep.
I think it's the only thing that makes sense.
Safe.
I mean, it makes a lot more sense than, I'll show you guys the sign one more time for those of you that are coming in a little bit later. This is a sign that's present. You tell me if their pet answer as to what happened to 2 billion birds makes sense to you. I think I've got a bridge to sell you, but I'll let you see the sign. Now, I want to correct something here. That it says that this nesting ground that covered 850 square miles, that is what had around 136 million pigeons. It is an estimation that in the U.S. that there were 2 billion passenger pigeons.
Yeah.
What's up, Jay?
Oh, what up, Jay?
We got a lot of regulars popping in late in the show, man. You're gonna have to rewind and watch some of this. I'd say the last half hour has been a very conspiratorial-filled rage of information.
Yeah, you gotta go back if you're coming in late. You gotta go back and watch some of this. It's been a hoot. Been a
But
hoot.
you tell me, if you had an army of 3,000 people to go take on 136 million pigeons, could you do it? Could you do it? Yeah.
No.
Marvel Rivals. The short answer is no. Yeah, Marvel Rivals have been kind of taken over lately.
Oh yeah, dude. Invisible Woman search results are up 850%.
And there's nothing there.
Or to Google. Yeah, yeah, yep. It's invisible.
No. Yeah, I had somebody ask me for the first time, actually at the tattoo show. They asked if I had any Marvel Rivals artwork,
Wow.
and I wasn't sure what that meant because they're all just characters from Marvel.
Yes, but I think people are really enjoying. I guess yeah, we're segmenting completely away from it. But yeah, people are really
Yeah.
enjoying the design style of the new characters. I personally am like some of these skins. I'm like, I don't even. That doesn't even look like the character. Like, who is this character?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see our chat is supporting us in our dissertation on passenger pigeons.
Yes,
I do like the style that they're doing though, and I think one of the let's get into while we're talking controversy, James. Let's just dive into it.
Oh man, going in
is that there's been a lot of controversy in the video game world that mayhaps some of the female characters are being less curvy, less feminine, less this, less that, less objectified.
Yeah, that's across the board.
And part of the praise for Marvel Rivals has been that the character models look good.
Yep.
There's some appeal to them.
Yep.
So don't know what that translates to. Other than
Sue Storm's thick.
turns out that people like their superheroes, whether they're male or female, to be attractive.
Yeah. Yeah. People like attractive people. I think that's kind of been the law from beginning of time.
What was the game? There was a game recently that barely even made it to the shelves and already got canceled.
Yeah, oh my god, what's it called? I've been following this pretty closely. Now I can't think what it's called. What is it called?
I forget what's Concord.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
And one of the criticisms wasn't even necessarily about the attractiveness. It was just the overall design of the characters was so bland. And if you put that, I'm reaching for my keyboard. It's right in front of me. I'm so used to putting it on the ground so I can draw. That when you put that against, what are some of the other more modern games, like Overwatch and that sort of thing, that the character design doesn't even come close.
Yeah, no, it was bad. I mean, some people, there was very, very few people that were praising the game for creating characters like them, but it was, it's very interesting that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that there should be a market for people that are different and stuff like that, but yeah, I think overall, people will appreciate things that look pretty. Yeah, this is very weird designs. Yeah.
I think the slightly dingy, muted color schemes, not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. Probably more realistic, but when it comes to entertainment, people want to be entertained. If you had to play as one of these four characters in the next Pigeon Massacre of 2027, which of these four characters would you want to be?
I don't know, probably the guy with the gun. I don't know.
Stands a better chance. He has like some 6-shooters or something, but yeah, this looks like a pigeon killing machine right here.
Yeah, it's dude, that costume design is very uninspired, if you ask my opinion. Like, especially considering now I'm looking at a lot of concepting design elements and stuff. It's just very uninspired.
Yeah. Pigeons get these 4 on their team. We'll take them on.
Nice.
We'll take the snakes. Um,
Dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
God, I tried watching that movie the other day, and it didn't hold up quite as well as I thought it did.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, when people want to sit down and be entertained, we want appealing stuff. None of this appeals to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the guy all the way on the right kind of looks like he might fit in with some of the other games that we play, but the weird smirk isn't, I don't know. It's just a very, I don't know.
Weird. Like, is he an alien or like what's going on here? Or
Yeah.
is he wearing? Almost looks like he's wearing like a water vest.
Like
You know what
Marty
I mean? Like
McFly.
yes, life-proof water vest.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. You put that against, let's look up some Marvel Rivals characters. Let's talk
Yeah.
about Marvel Rivals. I haven't played it. It looks to me like a game that I would suck at.
I played a little bit of it the other day, and I suck at it.
I'm gonna switch windows around
I
so we
couldn't
can.
figure out the characters. I mean, I only played it once. But.
Yeah, any of these squad games where you have to like kind of know the strengths of your character and like play a certain role.
Yeah.
Like I will let all of you down.
Yeah, I used to be pretty good at Overwatch, but yeah, I just kind of fell off the bandwagon on that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, this style is just really cool.
yeah, I like the default skins. They're coming out with newer skins, and like it kind of like I was saying, some of the newer skins you kind of draws a line between who is this character, and there is a
Yeah.
couple characters that I'm actually not familiar with, which I was surprised.
Like who?
Well, so they have the chick from the Spider-Man animated series, Penny Parker.
Okay.
I actually
Yeah.
didn't recognize her at first. She doesn't look anything like the movie. And then there was there's a couple other characters. I don't even know their names.
Yeah. I haven't really looked at it.
Later, Dave.
Oh, see you, Dave. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thanks, dude.
popping in.
Yeah, Squirrel Girl. That's an interesting character in general.
Yeah, and I know that she was one that got a little bit of the controversy for they've changed her quite a bit for the comics.
Yeah.
And this is a more what are the right words I'm looking for that won't get me in trouble? It's a more attractive version of her.
There you go.
I personally find this one more attractive, and that makes me a terrible person.
I say less woke.
We're not gonna go down that road.
Yeah, we won't go deep down
there. Yeah. This picture's really small. I'm trying to find like a decent sized picture of the roster. So,
it's a pretty big roster.
Who's Luna Snow?
Yeah, that's one of the characters I don't know. Yeah, I've never heard of her before.
She newer? She a newer character?
She must be. The first I've heard of her was Marvel Rivals.
2018 in a video game.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why we haven't heard about her.
Marvel Future Fight. Interesting.
And then she showed up in 2019. Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about her. Looks cool. No pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, looks cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So Jeff the Land Shark, that was an interesting one. I only know about that because I've seen a couple of TikTok videos about his character, but Jeff the Land Shark he's cute.
Cute?
Yeah, he's cute.
Cute land shark? Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty.
Oh, that's him right there. Yeah, okay.
There
he's cute. He's a cute little land shark.
Yes. First appeared to West Coast Avengers. Are you talking about Jeff, or are you talking about Luna? Jay. I saw a thing a couple days ago where Jeff was in a comic. It was Gwenpool was giving him to Deadpool because she was afraid she was not going to have a comic anymore. So she wanted him to have a place to be because Deadpool always has a comic. I thought that was kind of a cute, like, fourth wall breaking kind of thing. So that was kind of neat.
I can dig it. It's probably about the best picture I'm going to get. That's still freaking small. See if we can open this in a new tab and enhance.
There you go.
Got Iron Man, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, who's that guy in the
Rocket.
bottom right? Is that Namor?
That's got to be a Namor spinoff, I think.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Magneto, Magic, Hulk,
Yeah,
Black
that's not even
Panther,
the whole roster.
Hulk. Yeah, it's a good lineup. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, they just added, like I said, Invisible Woman and I think they
Oh, she's
are
right here.
adding or did add Mr. Fantastic.
Invisible Woman's right here.
Yeah, there
Ha
she
ha
right.
ha.
There she is.
Ha ha ha.
Oh yeah, Punisher, right? That's another one. Yeah,
There you
Bucky.
go.
It's a long list.
One of the things I was thinking about, because I have lots of time to drive and think about things when I'm going to places like Minneapolis, is how do you set yourself apart in the indie world? And one of the things I started thinking about, this is actually late last year, was doing a video game. There are so many tools now that make programming way easier.
Mm.
And you look at properties like this, like you get a wildly successful game and it runs
Mhm.
off. Um, you're probably getting more people into comics by having things that are adjacent to it.
Yeah.
Would have to be my guess. It's only going to help sales. I don't think it's going to hurt sales, right?
No. Oh, I mean, more people are recognizing the characters now just because of the game. But we're gonna run into that problem that I had when Fortnite came out with some of the skins that came out with, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's that guy from Fortnite." No, buddy, that's I don't know. It was probably like Goku or something, right? It's like,
Oh, God.
you know what I mean? Some people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, look, it's that character from Rivals."
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to agree with you. Jay says it makes cheaper books that go through the roof with that fear of missing out as
Yeah.
a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually started playing around with doing some coding. And number one, I'm terrible at it. Number two, it gave me a brand new appreciation for people who actually do coding. And three,
Ladies.
it got me to look into what it would take to pay someone to do it. And I cannot afford it.
Dude, there are some pretty decent developers on Fiverr. It's kind of ridiculous. The price you pay for what you get and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You want to see my lame attempt at making a game?
Sure.
There is a video on YouTube that is called how to make a game in, I even forget the name of this program. How to make a game in 20
Unity?
seconds. What's that?
Is it Unity?
No,
Oh,
it's you would think that it's in here. You would think that you'd open it. Oh, Godot. There it is.
okay.
So
Not
Godot
heard of
is um it's notorious for doing like side scrollers.
Ah,
But you can do 3D stuff. You just have to like know what you're doing. So
upload your own
the
assets.
the how to make a game in 20 seconds is all using this free icon that they give you. So it's
Mhm.
not going to be the sexiest looking game. But this is my little character. He can move around, he can jump. And it's funny because like it only shows you how to make like the first few blocks, but the camera doesn't follow you. And I taught myself how to make the camera follow the character. But my poor level design, I can't jump high enough to get on this block. So I can get down here though. But if I try to off myself, I can't. Can't do it. Can't do it. You just so
Nice.
from here it's like you get into the more advanced things like learning how to make like the animations of the person running and
Yeah.
if they've got an attack. So it's like it'd be cool to make a game, but how many people are going to play a Slaughter Dolls side scrolling game?
Never know, man.
You never know.
You never know. Make it, and you make it, and they will come.
This probably took me about I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour to figure this out. Here I am just jumping around. And then you can jump to your inevitable. I'm just floating through space.
Forever
now.
death.
Purgatory.
Yeah, that's
But yeah. I did hear that Unreal Engine 5 has a lot of like pre-made things that you can do that are pretty easy to use. But from a mastering perspective, I was watching some reviews on it, and you can make a pretty good looking game quick but all the bugs that are there, if you don't know anything about coding, trying to clean it up and unbreak your game is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I think Unreal, you have to sell over a certain amount of copies before they start charging you. But it would be cool to do. Unity, I think, is the one that you have to pay like royalties to them. Yeah, if I saw 1 million copies of anything, that'd be amazing.
I think Unity, you get it free, and then there's like a tier that you buy once you're ready to go.
Yeah, but I think from what I recall, Godot is 100% free. You can use it indefinitely to whatever scale. Get rid of
Cool.
that.
I
So who
even know how to
knows?
make little pixel characters. Let me
What's
know if
that?
you need help. Said I can make little pixel characters for you. Let me know if you need help.
Well, who knows? I might. It's one of those things that would be cool to do. It'd be fun to have. At the same
Yeah.
point, like, I don't know.
Is there a market for it, right? Yeah.
And what return am I getting, right?
Yeah.
Because you can launch anything into Steam, but if you don't have a following that knows to like go back it,
Yeah.
you won't even get that algorithm pop of it being a new game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you'd have to think about it, but I mean, I bet you if you sold it with as with a tier of like your next, comic or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might give people a little bit more interest to be like, oh, there's a game that comes with it. That's pretty cool. Let me check that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I was thinking like if I could do something, I don't know, more like a roguelite, where it's more like you can have like an endless mode where you're fighting stuff.
Yeah.
With different upgrades or whatever, that would be cool. But then it's like it's not just programming a game, it's also the sound design. Are you gonna have voices? Is it just gonna be text?
Yeah.
So I have stopped with my 20-second level tutorial. I am impressed that I was able to figure out as much as I did.
Yeah.
It would be
That's
cool
killer,
to have
dude.
like if like their faces could pop up and there'd be like text bubbles you could read, not go too overboard with it, and then maybe like the unlockables you can get are like art that I've done.
Yeah.
That might be neat.
That would be
But
cool. There you go. I mean, they do that in all the Spider-Man games, right? Like as you collect them,
yeah,
and they show up in your library. You have all these covers, Spider-Man covers now.
yeah. So we'll
Neat.
see. We're drinking Conway's Great Lakes Irish Red Ale.
Ooh,
This is
nice.
my it's funny, it's supposed to be for, of course, St. Patrick's Day, but this is the one holiday I'm glad they get started on early. I'm not a big Christmas ale guy. Red ales, though, that's my go-to.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, that would actually be kind of cool. Make each panel a level.
Neat.
So we'll see. I've got enough on my plate for this year. My trading card game, those prototypes should be showing up in the next week or so. So with that, I've got a whole nother challenge to figure out over the next 6 months. Got to play test the hell out of it, see what works, see what doesn't work. That's
If you
gonna
need another
have
play tester, you let me know.
yeah. Well, right now I've got two complete decks to play with, so like 4 people can be play testing.
Nice.
That being said, I already have a list of stuff that I need to fix, and I haven't even play tested yet. It was just like after you've made so many revisions, it's like we just need to get these printed.
Yeah.
Because right now we're just hypothetically fixing things. We need to actually start playing and see, is this even fun? Right? Like the way
Yeah.
we think it's going to play.
Yeah.
So we're not wasting a bunch of time wasting a bunch of time fixing things that may not even be an issue.
Yeah. Ooh. Jake.
Have you heard about that?
I actually have not heard about that. I've heard some discussion about something going on with CGG, but I had not heard that they were charging more.
Yeah. I think it was Anna Zoe or Sora Sung maybe that
Oh yeah.
had posted that.
Yes.
Me personally, I heard something kind of concerning as a trend towards the end of last year. Um, one of the things I heard on a couple different forums was that people were having a really hard time in the slab market in general.
Yeah.
Um, you naturally have that speculative market that's trying to buy up stuff that they think is going to pop, but the um, the negotiating table is, of course, min maxed right now, where people are trying to buy stuff absolutely as cheap as possible, and people are trying to sell absolutely as high as possible at a
Yep.
time where I feel like we're all getting into a standoff. Like we want to,
Yeah.
I want you to buy my thing. I don't necessarily want to buy yours.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. There's one part of me that's like, I don't think it's going to help anything. There's so many people that are sitting on lower grade scores than they thought they were going to get, like 9.6s, that sort of thing, that are borderline worthless compared to a 9.8,
Yeah.
9.9. So I don't know. Um,
Yeah. I think. Well, I'm surprised to see that not more people are turning to CBCS. But I think it's just gonna drive more people to CBCS. As long as they stand their ground on what, and they're not gonna be like, oh, let's meet that same demand and same price point that they're meeting to try to compete, or try to stay in that same market lane.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people being like, "Oh, let's," I think it makes more sense to start using them instead of CGC. And I mean, over the years, I think CGC has finally kind of come around to being like, "Oh, we finally have our stuff in order, and orders aren't taking a year to get back to people." But yeah, I've heard nothing but problems with so many people over the last couple years with CGC. I mean, yeah, it is a tough market too because a lot of what you're doing is speculative unless you know absolutely 100% that that's a key that you're purchasing, that key that you're getting slabbed. You know that's something. I mean, even I had this I had that we I had a video that we I did with a friend of mine years ago on my YouTube channel where we talked about Amazing Spider-Man 361, and whether or not it was worth keeping or throwing it in the garbage, or I mean, or whether it's not selling it or slabbing it or keeping it or whatever, holding on to it. And the we had said that it was going to go so far and then it was going to drop, and it did exactly that because it wasn't a rare book, but people were specking behind it so hard
yeah,
that it raised the price. Right? Something's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the general problem, even with your question here, Jay, about PSA. I don't think anything is going to take the market by storm right now. That's already been in play at some point over the last 10 years, whether it's the spec market or, people pushing for grading or pushing for CGC over CBC. I don't think anything is going to take the area by storm right now. I think everybody is in a point where we're more or less clamming up because what's going to be worth the investment?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that has really popped off in general, eh, talking markets across of everything that can be traded, was Bitcoin had a really nice pop. Doge had a really nice pop,
Yeah.
but even those are like cascading and then going back up. Um, I don't know what the general trend will be in comics, but it's probably going to come out of left field.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I don't see CGC being, I don't know. A lot of people got kind of bent out of shape. Uh, I think it was earlier this last year when they started talking about the 9.8s and stuff, where I forget what they had said, but like pretty much 9.8s were the most commonly given thing, and they weren't really that special.
Right. Right.
So now everyone's hunting for 9.9s, and I don't know. I wonder though. Well, let me before I get onto that. The reality of it is everything's going up in price. It's just to your point, James, is like, what is someone willing to pay though?
Right. Right.
I know there's comic shops and there's collectors that will come to these conventions that will have an envelope of $10,000 US American dollars, sometimes more than that. And they will just go booth to booth and they will try to pick up whatever slabs they can that they think will rise and fall.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what's going to give, but I feel like it's not that swollen of a bubble that's ready to pop, but I think it's like a stagnant bubble. It's a lame bubble. It's a
Yeah.
very lame bubble. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe this diamond thing might agitate the scene a bit. Maybe it'll get people looking through older stuff more than they were. I don't know. I'm not the best guy to ask about speculative stuff though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a market I've been in a while. Um, when I first tried entering the comic scene, that's where I was like trying to enter in at, was doing that, and then like trying to do that, and then like do my promote my art stuff in the same vein. And it was fun. I mean, wrong, it was fun to like speculate about what was what and whatever. And that's kind of where my channel started, was like, oh, we're collectors and whatever. And yeah, it just became a lot of work, to be honest, to keep track of all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm pretty much out of the game at this point. I don't even have a single slab comic, to be honest with you.
No?
Nope, nope.
Hmm.
I collect comics for the art. And it's one of those things, like, I kinda actually don't even know how to get my stuff slabbed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It just seems
That's
like a
not
lot of
hard.
work, for something that
Well,
may or may not have a big payoff.
that's the challenge is that so uh my I I cut a deal with Clan McDonald back when I did my Ronin cover for them.
Mhm.
And that I was like, instead of you paying me money and then I give you money back, what if I just give you X amount of books to get them slabbed?
Mm,
And they were all like my books.
nice.
Um, Slaughter Dolls, Punk Rock Princesses, some of that, Miss Meow, some of those. And I end up making more with those slabs than I would have um, if they just paid me. Now, granted, it took me about a year to sell through all of those.
Yeah,
I'm currently completely out of all of those. I got a fair amount that were like 9.6 just because that's all I had left. That was left of the print run. I sent them
yeah.
out. So some of those I was selling for like $60. Um, I had a 9.9 of one of the Kickstarter exclusives that I think I ended up selling for like 180 or 200.
Yeah.
So it's like when it all shakes out, I think I had upwards of 20 books that I sold in slabs. So that was definitely worth my time,
Nice.
but I also had to lug them around everywhere.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Yeah,
and
but they were protected,
kind
at
of,
least, right? I mean, like,
I had a
yeah,
cou- I had a couple
they
get
could break.
cracked.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
really? Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, there was one that got cracked. It was one of the Punk Rock Princesses. It was the last one I had out of that run of 100.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I think I let that one go for $40.
Mm,
Because it was already, I think it was like a 9.6. I was like,
yeah.
at this point, if you're collecting it, you're collecting it because you like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, well, and that's, I mean, the phrase that floats around the scene is, oh, I'm gonna butcher it now. I'm falling asleep. It's low grade is better than no grade when it comes to reselling, but at least it's protected in the meantime.
Right.
So when you
Yeah.
do get around, if you do want to sell it, at least you got it graded earlier and it's protected.
Right.
So, um, all that to say, getting it stuff graded isn't terribly difficult, especially if you being an artist. Like you can get an artist account.
Mhm.
Um, you get a slightly discounted rate, and after you do a certain amount of books, you can get better deals.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's been kind of nice having them at shows because it sets you apart from other folks, having them on
Yeah.
display. But by and large, I think I did between the time I sold my last slab and the time I got them, I think I did around 30 shows to sell 20 slabs.
Hmm.
Um, sounds about right. So yeah, it took time.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I know one guy who I follow on whatnot, and I was pointed in his direction by a fellow Facebook forum friend of mine that I met at a show recently. His name's Kyle. Well, the guy he had me follow, his name's Kyle Willis, and that's kind of like part of his thing, right? Is he's got enough of his own art books and like variations of his art books that they sell because collectors want to collect his art book, I guess.
Yeah.
And he offers the CGC thing as an option. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, kind of nice. I just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, for me, it's like I don't know what the cost is behind it and all that other stuff, but
Yeah. So slab, Chris, is like if you have your comic book and it's in a like a plastic, for lack of a better term, like trying to use a word that's not slab,
case,
plastic case,
yeah,
and it's got a tag at the top that will tell you the score.
yeah,
So they have a team of people or a person at least that will look at the book. They'll look for things like, are the corners dinged up? Are the pages dinged up? Is the print misaligned? They'll look at all those little things. The big one is like when you stack comic books, a lot of times when they shift, they'll actually like scrape the ink, make little streaky lines that are really hard to see. But if you hold it up to the light, it's almost like the on the top of your car, like the clear coat will get those spirally sort of. Same thing can happen with the cover of your books. Um, so yeah, it's that's the point of the slab. Free was $25 a book, but now will be 20.
wow, that's not a huge hike. I was expecting to be more than
There you
that.
go.
I thought I was told at one point that it was based on the value of the book. So I guess I was misdirected in that.
You thought it was what? I'm sorry.
That the fee was based on the value of the book.
They do that some points for
Oh
like the
wow.
super high value ones. I
Oh really?
know,
Okay.
especially if you're gonna get stuff like reslabbed and that sort of thing. They have, um, I do believe they have pricing tiers for that,
Huh, okay.
especially if we're talking like vintage books.
Excuse me.
But I don't know. I'm thinking I might need to do another round though. As much as I don't know, it's neat having them on the table, but they did take up a lot of space on the rack. Um, it is kind of nice having some things slabbed.
Yeah.
So I might do it again.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know.
You do it
We'll
for
see.
4% for 1,000 plus. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. Um, I will say when I have people ask me if I can get stuff slabbed for them at a show,
Hmm.
it is probably one of the most aggravating things someone can ask me to do. Now, if all I have to do is the CGC rep or the CBCS group comes to my booth and says, "Did you do this? Cool, thanks, bye." No problem. I've had a couple times where someone has asked me like, "Hey, can you run this over and have it slabbed because I have to go. I'm only in town for the next 10 minutes. And I have to go catch a flight." Having to leave my booth to go over to
Oh.
get it graded,
Yeah.
it takes so
Wait,
much
so
time.
do they grade it there or do they send it and get it graded?
No, no, they catalog all the information for it,
Oh,
package
okay.
it, and ship it off.
I was gonna say that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. Having you know how it is. Having anything that's different is, huge at these shows. Um, so at least for marketing purposes, I think just the act of having them makes you stand out. Yeah. And I think it adds some clout too. Um, collectors are gonna see it. They're gonna see that you're, you know, caliber ahead of some of the other folks.
Yeah.
Um, and for people that don't even know what they are, and they're shiny, and shiny helps. So um,
Heroes Con, huh?
they are doing on-site grading. Interesting.
Heroes Con, is that the one in Florida? What?
Charlotte,
Charlotte. Oh,
Charlotte,
North
Charlotte.
Carolina.
Yep.
Okay.
I wonder if they were
North
doing that at
Carolina.
Baltimore too, because I know they have a huge
Yeah.
presence at Baltimore.
They had a kiosk. I don't know what they were doing.
It seems like every time I see them, it's just you go up there and you can submit the stuff.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine grading on site probably is a premium price would be my
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
But allegedly, one of the guys I used to work with went to go work for CGC. So I don't know if he's still there or not. Um, I think he was. I don't know if he was doing more entry level or if he was getting into grading, but yeah, that was probably 5 years ago.
Hmm. Wonder if I
Gotcha.
could get into Heroes Con. That'd be kind of cool.
If you're going to, you need to start looking at it now, sooner than
Okay.
later. And
Hmm.
my only advice for that show is um, have some of your best originals like framed and ready to go. And then if you're going to do commissions, make it very well known that you're doing commissions with like your pricing and everything.
Yeah.
It is a huge show for commissions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. I don't know. That's a far drive, but
Yeah.
probably a 14-hour drive for me.
Yikes.
I would
Yeah.
guess. I'm just guessing. I'm throwing it out there. Could be less than that. I don't know.
Yeah. I enjoy it. It's a what really helps is that my brother lives down there, so I get to
Oh,
see my nieces
yeah.
and his wife. And one of the fun things, I don't know if I have this handy. Chris knows about this because Chris bought one of these. They like to make art for me to sell for them at the show.
Hmm.
Um, it's I don't know what I did with it. It's around somewhere. But they're gonna be 11. And it's funny because the two of them are twins, and one is very much like detail oriented. She wants to
Mhm.
draw like the window panes on the house with like the ghost in the window. Like she wants to like do all the little details.
Yeah.
And the other one's like, I'm just gonna make as many as I can. Because if he sells all of them, I'll make more money. And she usually does.
Nice. Ooh,
Yeah.
nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Chris actually picked up the Wait What Dragon.
Nice.
Um she the one drew this dragon that was like this and was like screaming. And in the word bubble, I believe there's a word bubble that said, "Wait, what?" So she's sitting there
Nice.
working on it. She's like, "Steve, can you come check out my Wait, what dragon?" I'm like, "What?" She's like,
Wait,
"Yeah,
what?
wait, what?" And she's like, just imagine you're a dragon and you find out that someone smashed one of your eggs. What's the first thing you would say? You would go, "Wait, what?" And she gets so animated, and
That's cool.
she keeps repeating. She'd be like, "No," you'd be like, "Wait, what?" And
That's
she's like
funny.
screaming in the kitchen. It's like, "Wait, what happened to my eggs?" I'm like, "Oh, it's okay, it's all good." So now,
That's funny.
anytime that I hear "Wait, what," that's all I can think about.
That's hilarious.
They will very likely have some art. I feel like Kate has that did the Wait What Dragon is still um, very into making art. I feel like her sister still enjoys it, but not as much as Kate does. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
so we'll see if we can get you a second Wait What or something in that family. And then I don't know if you guys know Gus Mock. He's a buddy of mine. He's another comic artist. He's done a lot of stuff in the indie scene. Um, he buys up a lot of the spooky ones. So I know last time he had asked for I think he wanted something with like jack-o'-lanterns. And like I said, my other niece, she likes to draw. She gets frustrated because she sees her sister just whipping out all these dragons left and right, and she gets
Yeah.
discouraged. Like, I'm not working fast enough. So we ended up not getting the jack-o'-lanterns done in time. So
Oh,
maybe this year we can get those.
gotta tell her comparison is the thief of joy.
Dude, I don't know who said it, but they said America doesn't have a greed problem. It has an envy problem.
Oh,
And with what you just said, I
yeah.
100% believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that just they might be doing just fine, but they look at someone else's plate and they're like, "Well, how's comes I can't do what they're doing? How comes
Yeah.
I can't get what they have?"
Yep.
I don't know. But Well, we've been going for over 2 hours. Do you guys
Yes.
have any other questions before we roll out?
Yes. Questions, comments, concerns.
I will be, if any of you are in the Philadelphia area, I'll be at the Philly Tattoo Convention. I'm hoping to God that it is more profitable than last year. Um, 2 years ago was really good. Last year, I literally did half. Not just at the tattoo show there, but also at the Comic Con that's there, the Fan Expo. I literally did half in that market what I did previously. So I'm hoping this year we're on a rebound. And it wasn't just me. There's a lot of other folks I talked to that had taken hits at those shows.
Mm. Yikes.
Now, man, I had pretty much run out of content to talk about.
Oh yeah, we were pretty much done with the passenger pitches at that point. So.
Which we did talk about for about half an hour.
We did, yeah. That was quite the conversation.
If,
We dove deep into that one.
It's wild, man. I'm hoping I can get some real answers on what went on with them birds.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate you hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, it's these shows are going to be more and more unhinged as time goes on.
Yeah.
So, and if you guys have Whatnot, James and I are both on Whatnot. James, when's your next show coming up?
I have not scheduled it yet, but probably not till the week after next. I'm probably be doing bi-weekly shows. So probably not next week, but the week after.
So guys, follow James. He is sketching the beast on just about every social platform there is.
Yep.
Got a lot of great artwork over there, and he's got his own art book too that he's doing sketches on. So make sure you check him out there. And then I will have, there it is. What you working on there?
This is Momo from anime show called Dan to Dan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So guys, give him a follow, and then I am starting to sell on Whatnot as well. I'll probably be doing a once a month show. I might step it up more if time allows, just because I'm going to be on the road a lot. But check that out. And then again, if you're in Philly next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, the last full weekend of January, come check it out. It's only like $25 a day for a ticket. And if you like going to Comic-Cons, tattoo shows are very different, but you'll have a great time.
Nice.
But guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. It's been an absolute blast. I might have to clip the pitching part, make it its own little video.
Yes,
we'll see. But appreciate you guys. Have a good night. We'll see you later.
Peace
Bye-bye.
out, guys.